This is the Rest of Everest video podcast, an almost unabridged expedition experience, episode 11. Welcome to Base Camp.
Well, hello again, everyone. Welcome back to the Rest of Everest podcast. I'm John Miller. Thanks so much for downloading today's episode. I have the fortune of actually being joined in the studio today with Major King. How you doing, Major?
I'm doing good, John.
Major's very tired. He's worked very hard today, and really thank him for coming in to do the commentary here for this episode. You guys are going to love this episode. We finally make it to base camp. I know everyone's probably been chomping at the bit, waiting for us to get there. We finally arrive. So before we jump into the episode, I just want to tell people that if you're a real fan of the show, just don't forget to visit the website every week. Every episode has its own page, and every week I add new content to that episode's page with emails or blog entries that we sent back while we were actually on the trip. There's also a search box using Podzinger, which is a technology that lets you to actually search inside of each episode. It's really cool. So I guess, Major, let's head to base camp.
Let's do it.
All right, so this is where we left off last time, and this is the final stretch of road heading up to the what's called known as the Chinese base camp in Tibet, and it's I'm guessing that graffiti in front of us on that block there doesn't say Vicky, but it kind of looks like Vicky to me. It's probably something Tibetan.
Yeah, probably don't want to know. Is this before? We're coming up to the pass here, aren't we?
No, this is after the pass, and
okay.
This is literally the last section of road, and I could never get any of those vehicles to keep driving. We're making a film here, people.
You're supposed to drive until we can't see you anymore, and then come back and get us.
Keep going. Can you keep going?
So we'll just cut to heading up to the Rongbuk Monastery. And this is our first real experience with yaks and some yak herders there.
Yeah, it's got such a magical sound to it.
The
bells on
the bells. Those are that. There was a fellow I met at base camp, and every time the yaks would pass, he'd listen to them and he'd say, "That is the sound of Tibet."
Such an amazing sight, looking at that from whatever angle.
Yeah, you do get approached by just about everyone there. And I don't think I'm overgeneralizing. It really is everyone's looking for some money because, you're climbing Everest. Geez, how many tens of thousands of dollars do most people pay? So everyone there's really looked upon as rich. And
that's a tough thing.
All right they are, though.
Yeah. You hate to alter a native culture by commercializing it in monetary ways, but yet you can't ignore the poverty that's there and the fact that you're in their land. And
but you can always politely say no.
Yeah. And giving an alternative like sugar is actually almost worse because it's not like they go see the dentist
right.
twice a year, and sugar is really bad for their teeth over there, as it is here. But here you have means of treating it.
So there's some pressure breathing.
Yeah.
And it's hard to see. It's so bright out here.
This is the Rongbuk Monastery, the highest monastery in Tibet. It's well above 16,000 feet, and you can see it's really like just at the base of Everest.
You what?
Very photographed place. I remember looking at this in some of the books before we went and sort of recognizing it when we got to this point. It's like, wow, I know this place because I've seen it in pictures.
I'll tell you what, man, if you don't carry TP with you in this country.
I'm watching this footage here, and in a way I'm kind of speechless because it's so dramatic, and the film doesn't obviously do it justice at all. That 13,000 foot face of Mount Everest just looms. It's so hard to comprehend. I mean, that's the top of the planet right there.
Yeah, you tend to forget that when you look at the whole Himalayan range. But that's it.
Cool with that
That's the highest point.
Plain.
This place is so desolate, though. I mean, it's just really out there and not a whole lot of people around.
Not a whole lot of people around, but there are people everywhere. And that's an interesting paradox there because there's not very many, but if you look you can usually, if you wait just a few minutes, you'll see someone in the landscape.
They're consistent in the countryside, but not in large masses.
Yeah, one or two lone figures.
I was wondering about those prayer flags. You have to change those probably at least once a year, don't they, to keep them looking so colorful?
That's a good point. I'm not sure how often they change them, but yeah, they really do disintegrate.
Please don't come this way.
A dirt devil. Can you tell I'm using my own camera because I don't want to get slammed with the dirt in my own camera?
And
Yeah, I like that a lot.
I do believe, Major, you weren't feeling terribly good.
Oh, I'd love to give you folks out there, some indication of what was going on with me physiologically at this point, but I don't want to describe in detail, what was a slightly disrespectful, I think, use of the facilities there.
There you go. That's good.
I don't think so. I think
It's working.
you have to go where you have to go.
You got to do what you got to do, and you try to do it with as much discretion, and you do the best you can, but some things had to be done at that point.
And we'll just leave that as speaking in code. Figure it out for yourself.
This short little 300-foot trek here should have been a blatant cue to me as to how sick I was becoming and was about to be, because I struggled to get up this hill. And in Colorado, this would be nothing. I would barely even breathe hard to go up this hill, and I think I stopped twice going up to this place.
Well, I remember. I remember filming this stuff, and I ran ahead of Ben to get that shot of Ben walking towards the camera, and I nearly passed out because I literally ran up above where Ben was walking so I could get his face walking towards the camera, and that little spurt of energy there just about knocked me over because of the altitude. You don't expect to be so almost helpless up there.
It's on a smaller scale. It's almost like doing 14ers in Colorado. You're fine, for the first 13,500 feet, and then you find yourself when you get to the last 400 or 500, you just realize how much it hits you the higher up you go.
And we're 3,000 feet above the highest point in Colorado here.
Yeah. Is that me breathing, or is that you?
That's me. But you can't stop taking pictures. You can't stop rolling film. You're just blown away by that's Everest. It's right there. It might look small in this piece of video here, but that's just the way the camera makes it look. It's just looming. It's so large. So what we're doing here, what this little hike up was to get us to a sacred cave. And we'll see more about that in a couple of minutes here, but it's up on the hillside beyond the Rongbuk Monastery, and it's extremely special place. And there's this building over the entrance, and here's the little hole in the floor where you climb down.
You look at the darkness of the stone and the concrete. I guess they've poured some there, and you realize this place has been here a long time.
This way. This is a religious seat. This is a throne.
That's what Buddha said.
So this is 8th century. One who is the famous Lama. We call the Lama Sambawa. So he came to meditate here. Okay. So this place. This is room for this Buddha. Lama Sambawa.
That guy in the yellow jacket was our liaison officer. Really nice guy. I want to just say that.
In the Buddhism, there's a 4 kind of sect, and we call it Gaikyu Nyingma, Saikya, Giluk. We call 4. But there's a one of sect is practice Nyingma. We call it practice in a sacred, tantric. In Sanskrit, tantric, but it's in English it's sacred practice. So this is the master of tantric, Guru Rinpoche. Yeah, you see his figures there.
This is image of his image.
Dressed with a king. West part of Indian king who present his dress to the master of this Guru Rinpoche.
So he have no mother and father. He have no parents. He's born from the lotus. So we call him Bambajumni. He's born from the waters.
And he has 8 manifestation, 8 different figures. You know.
There's a lot of rabbis from the India and different Nepal.
They're trying to explain to me how sacred this place is, and they're telling me about this guy. This is a very famous manifestation of Buddhism, that this fellow came from the water, and he has no parents. He comes straight from the water.
Actually, it's from the lotus.
Particular waters.
That's an accent issue there.
And so then he comes here and he meditates. Meditates here, and this is a 1,200-year-old stupa, and in this is a really important mineral, and this is where this is important because of the mineral that's in it. And so basically they're trying to tell me, the sacred spirits are trying to allow me to understand how important this landscape is and how important this is, to stop here and to see this, to understand the spiritual aspects of, coming in to Mount Everest, which they call Chomolungma. And this is an important part of their culture and part of how they connect to the landscape. And so that's why we're here, is to learn about their culture and about their religion, because for them the mountains are spiritual. So this is very good. This is our way of showing respect to them and their way of showing respect to us, so that we can be safe on the mountain.
And I think it's really important to, I think what Ben said there, he said it very well, that the mountains are a spiritual place to the peoples who surround Everest, and like we said, it's known as Chomolungma in Tibet, and that's why we have Chomolungma on our patches and whatnot. It's to, respect that Mount Everest. Chomolungma roughly translates to Mother Goddess of the Earth, and it really is a special place, and that's something that no picture and no image can really show you. You have to experience it firsthand, and I can tell from firsthand experience that it really is it's a magical place.
I have to wonder where that wood came from.
It was brought up there.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
This is a kind of a special ceremony that we're about to watch here.
I wish I knew what these guys were saying.
You could probably describe this better than me, John, but people want to make note of the silk scarves.
Yeah, that's called a kata, and it's a gift that you give to people, and it's just a nice way to say thank you. So they were thanking us for visiting, and I still have mine. You still have yours?
Oh yeah, I do. Yeah. Actually, it hangs in my bedroom door.
And it's actually they're multi-purpose there, because they're great to wrap around your face when all the dust blows around.
Yeah. No, I considered that a real special thing when they did that, and it's a simple thing, but something you want to hang on to.
So
this is it.
we have a 3 tents. You guys can
This is base camp.
Okay, nice.
a little more space.
Oh, so each of us has a tent, or?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Excellent.
And some tea and
Sweet. Man, so what's going on? You guys been setting everything out, having fun?
yeah.
I have to admit, people might think that it was pretty Spartan there, but we had a very luxurious camp. Nomad Expeditions really did it right. They took really good care of us, and all of our Sherpas left Tingri after only one night because, well, they didn't want to stay in Tingri because they were smart, but they also they came and they set up camp, so all we had to do was walk in. Everything was there.
This is the mess hall here.
Yep. This is our living room. This is the Mountain Hardwear Space Station. We were the envy of many of the camps there who didn't have them.
Here.
See, I'm so messed up, John. I don't even remember if you shot that or if I did.
I shot all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was your turn just to relax. You had done so much shooting. You had done such a tremendous job. There, that's you right there in the orange hat. It was just time for you to just be. You weren't supposed to work anymore.
Well, it's I truly was affected by my physical condition, because as a photographer, you want to just be shooting everything all the time to capture the moment. That's what we do. And to have waited so long to get to this point and to not be photographing, I must have felt bad.
Okay, Major King, we got like 2 minutes left.
Yeah.
All access. How do you feel? You're at Everest Base Camp. There's Everest behind you.
Yeah. Hey, we made it. Heck of a long journey. Very, very, very long journey. It's unbelievable, you know. Can't believe we're finally here.
How you feeling?
Not as good as I hoped I would have been when I got to this point. You know, I think it'll get better. I hope it gets better before I leave. I think it will. But it's been, the last 3 days have been tough.
Are you inspired at all by the scenery?
Yeah, it's more sparse, quite honestly, than I thought it would be by a long shot. I mean, it's just really barren over here.
Gravel pit.
Yeah. But, you know, I don't know. I just hope I get higher than where we're at. I'm not so sure. We'll see.
As you know, John, my goal was to get to advanced base camp, which seemed doable from lower altitudes, and people said, okay, yeah, you could probably do that in a, certainly in an 8-day span. 5 days might be pushing it, which is what I had, but wasn't meant to be.
Well, I had been there 12 days before I set up for ABC.
Yeah.
And it was still, as you'll see in future episodes, one of the most difficult walks of my life.
But the scenery gets better.
Don't worry, I wasn't
the infamous or famous Serac Highway. That was my goal, was to be able to get to see that and photograph that. These giant 100-foot shards of ice.
But that's all a ways away from here. Right now, we get there, and I mean, you have to. You realize that this is going to be your home for the next 50 or so days, and you have to unpack everything. And we had so much stuff, and we're unpacking the Land Cruiser that we drove up in, but what you're not seeing is the surplus military truck that brought all of our food and everything.
Interesting to me, John, in that last shot, if you looked way off in the distance, that's one of the other camps. This valley or this moraine or this glacier that we're on really is huge.
Oh, it's enormous, yeah.
It's 10 times bigger than anything that I've seen in Colorado of a similar nature.
Everything in the Himalaya is larger than life.
Yeah.
It's really it's amazing. But I have to admit, this is just as an aside here, these tents that we had were really nice. Again, I really want to I really want to say how well Nomad Expeditions took care of us, and each of us had our own tent. And also just thinking back on that interview with you, Major, that it sounded like you hadn't even really begun to have the effects. Overnight, so that's the end of the episode there, but overnight Major's altitude sickness exploded, and it was exponential, and it turned into a very scary and serious situation, which we'll explore in the next episode.
Don't want to miss that. Come on back.
So thanks for joining us today, Major.
Yeah, it's fun to look at this stuff again
and remember it for the first time.
It looks like happier times watching it on video. At the time, as you'll see next week, I was not well at all.
It was a very serious situation, life-threatening. So we'll join you next week. The Rest of Everest is downloaded all over the world every week. If you enjoy watching and would like to show your support, then take a look at my website, Aside from having lots of additional blog entries from the expedition, updated every week, there's this little donation button on every page. Now, many of you have pressed that button, and your generous contributions are helping to cover my hosting fees. If you haven't donated but would like to, then just contribute any amount. In return, I'll give you access to the video and audio dispatches I sent out while we were actually at Everest. It's pretty interesting stuff. Contribute $25 or more, and I'll even throw in an iPod-compatible version of the film Everest: The Other Side. That's the project the entire podcast here is based on. As always, our announcer is Marlon May, and our music is provided by Wendy Wu. Check her out at wendywoo.com. Thanks so much, everyone, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you for watching The Rest of Everest. For more information on the expedition, please visit therestofeverest.com.
Surprise.